Love and light. I am currently out here in sunny Woodland, California. For those of you who don't know where Woodland is, right off the 113, Northern Cali, near Davis, Sacramento, in that area. All right, y'all. So let's get right to it. Yesterday, uh, I traveled on the highway with my godmother, and um, when I say come journey with me, I'm still learning what that means as I go about this process. And that's why I've said to you all, come journey with me. I'm literally on a journey. And yesterday, I experienced something, and I'm still really sitting with it. That's the truth. We saw an accident yesterday. I saw it from afar. I saw the car flipped over. Usually, when I'm by myself, I don't really stop for things. Yesterday, of course, I was not alone. So we agreed that we pulled over because we saw people driving over to the accident and getting out of their cars. This is on the 580 freeway coming toward the Bay Area. So we agreed, myself and my godmother, that if there were any women and children, we would get out and we would go over. Well, we instinctively got out of the car, and I saw from afar one of the Good Samaritans pull out a baby carrier. I'm thinking he pulled the carrier out really easily. So I say to her, there's a baby carrier. There's no baby though. Um, but at that point, she and I were already in stride on our way back toward the accident, as I see the men pull out a toddler seat with a toddler still in it. By the time I get over to him, he hands the toddler in the seat to me, and I sit her down on the ground. There is two men walking, kind of bloody a little bit, but they're, of course, rightfully so, hysterical. The people that got there right before we did were pushing up the car, lifting up the car because the car was on top of a lady. There was another guy laying on the ground, face kind of bloody. And so I had laid the little girl in the seat while I set the seat down near the guy with the face bloody. I went over to him. He looked to be okay, just maybe like a broken nose or something. But of course, he's breathing kind of funny because his nose is broken. And then somebody moves something on the ground near this man, and there's an infant on the ground. And I say to my godmother, there's an infant. She goes over. Now, just in case you don't know safety emergency response, even when a kid falls on a playground from a high or something like that, you never want to move them. Don't pick them up. Don't turn their heads or anything like that unless you absolutely have to. That's so that if there's anything broken, anything sticking, stuff like that, you don't move it anymore and make it worse. So we didn't move the baby, the infant. Um, what I realized later that was covering him was the bumper and the license plate of the car that they were in. And this is what I talk about when I say to people divine timing, divine circumstances, divine situation, divine understanding. I'm a doula. My godmother is a midwife, well over 15, 20 years of experience. How is it that we were joined in that space with that infant by a regular nurse and a neonatal nurse who came out of their cars from the opposite side of the freeway? So the four of us worked on baby Elijah, giving him chest compressions, mouth to mouth, giving him feeling sensation on his hands, his head, his hands, his face. In the midst of all of this, I didn't realize until later, um, it was so much going on. It was so much going on. The little girl in the seat, I did end up taking her out of the seat after I saw that she was well. I had went over to help with the baby for a second, and then I heard her cry, so I got up and I went over to her. She's moving, kicking her feet. She wants to get out of the seat, so I grabbed her out of the seat. I talked to her for a minute, moved her bangs out of the way, and just made sure she was okay. Asked her move her fingers, move her toes, is anything hurt, all those things. When I tell you that I've never experienced anything like that, I've never experienced anything like that, and that is truth. Truth. Undeniable truth. That's truth. Between me helping with baby Elijah, keeping his sister calm, and keeping his dad calm, I was in my element of calm and peace, which I'm a little surprised about, but not really. Because you never really know how you're going to feel about a particular situation, or how you react until you are put into that situation. We knew by the time it was all said and done that baby Elijah he was no longer with us. But you still try to do everything that you know to do, everything within your realm of power and understanding and skill. Um, I don't want to get into too many of the details, but I knew what to do when the time was right. I didn't realize in the heat of the moment, it was only after reflecting on the situation with my godmother did I realize. At one point, I had grabbed baby Elijah's hand, his right hand, while we still had him laying on the ground, still chest compression, still checking his pulse, still giving mouth to mouth. I had asked my godmother to grab his other hand and just put her finger in the palm of his hand. I believe that is when his spirit was released from his body. Baby Elijah was a fighter. His heart continued to beat for a while. It was faint. His pulse was faint, but it was there. It was there. For a quick moment, I saw life come back into his body. From his pale face, I was rubbing his face. I could see the blood come back through his face, his little mouth. But I knew, like we all knew, that it wasn't a good situation because of the way that we found him. I've only touched two dead people in my life. One of them was right after they transitioned, which would have been my mom. And then my uncle, after he had already been to the morgue and we were there to view his body. I'll shade to the butterfly that just flew by. I never have been present for someone's transition. Not in that way. I count it all honor to have been present, to have been a being of light for that entire situation, for baby Hannah and for baby Elijah. That baby transitioned from this world. He had only been here a couple of weeks. He was a new baby. But he transitioned into his next life surrounded by healers, quick thinkers, warrior women that was conducive to his warrior spirit. I will never, ever, 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 ever forget baby Elijah. Ever. Not in a haunting, somebody died kind of way, you know, um, but in a way of honor. Divine alignment as well as divine will is so absolutely true, so absolutely true and real. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, meaning even though I have a spiritual understanding of things, it doesn't mean that I don't have human emotions and responses and all those things. Ma'at, balance, a balance between the spiritual and the physical. Ma'at, balance. In the heat of all that was presented in that divine moment, there was nothing about me that said, don't do. Every ounce of me was in it. And for that, I give thanks. But after it was all said and done, at the end of the day, I had to sit with that because a spirit transitioned. There's a family hurting. There's a father in pain. There's a mother in pain because they no longer have a child here. And that's truth. That is what brought my tears after it was all said and done. Because I understand that human experience of pain, of hurt, of confusion. When I tell y'all that I'm on a journey, I don't mean that lightly. When I tell you that divine timing and divine will is everything, I truly mean that. There's nothing in me that thought on this trip from LA to Oakland, somewhere in between, a life would be transitioned, let alone it be an infant. I count it all honor in truth and in humbleness.